The car culture is at a strange place currently. Like it's never been this bad before. Before I even start this video, oh my god, I have a crazy lisp. Oh my, I just got these Invisaligns, right? And I know for the first month or so I'm gonna have a crazy list, so bear with me. But anyways, like I was saying, the car community is at a strange place and it's never been this bad before. The community summed up is pretty much electric bad, ICE good, new car bad, old car good, V6 bad, V12 good. And it's actually kind of sad looking at it from an inside perspective, because if you're actually into cars, you understand this is not always the case, and now everything is just a trend. But speaking of trends, today I want to talk about a few cars that actually grew on everyone in the car scene. Bro, I don't know how long I'm gonna go with this list, but it's pissing me off. Like, I'm sorry, let's get back to the video. But anyways, apparently it's a trend for people to not like cars the moment they come out. It typically always takes a couple months to simmer down for it to actually get accepted by the people, and that was always weird to me. But hey, do you. And first though, we have the obvious choice, in which if you were watching this, you probably thought of. Yes, and that is the BMW G generation. The M2, M3, and the M4. I remember it like it was yesterday when these cars were first announced to the public and they showed it for the first time. It was actually mayhem. Not a single soul liked these cars, and if you said you did, you're lying. Everyone hated it because of the grille. Yes, BMW came out with grills shaped like the nose of a pig. Everybody put everything else aside. Ignore the fact the cars are stupid fast, have crazy technology, and the interior is next to none. And just an overall good looking car. Everyone was just focused on the grills. And what do you know? In typical car community fashion, as soon as we saw this car in person and they hit the streets, everyone now wants one. Because now we realize there's more to a car than the grill. But honestly, it's all tied to the fact that, ooh, this company attempted something new. It's terrible. We can't accept change. No matter if that change is actually good and innovative. Give us the same design for 30 years and we're all gonna be happy. You know what you guys sound like? You sound like robots. And now we're literally in the midst of seeing the same thing happen with the G90 M5. Guys, once these cars become popular on the streets, I promise you that everyone will switch up. Especially when the special variants come out, like the CS and the competition. It's going to be a different ballgame. Everybody hates cars when they first come out, but over time, as we start to see it more and more on the streets, we all switch up. And that's the exact same thing that happened to the new generation Ford Mustang S650s. This one is the exact same thing as the GAX generation BMWs. Me personally, to be completely honest, I still prefer the S550s over the S650s. Like the GT, the GT350, and the GT500 are just better looking cars than any of the S650s. But the S650 did grow on me a lot. And that's simply because when I saw it in person, I realized maybe they're not that bad. That's pretty much the case with all these cars. It's like the people who take the announcement pictures are purposely trying to make people hate the car. No idea what the science behind this is. Maybe it's the angles they take the pictures at, I don't know. But it looks so much better in person. But nah, my friend's uncle actually has a dark horse, and those cars are pretty cool. And that same friend has an S550 10-speed Mustang GT, and I'll take that any day over the S650, even the dark horse. Unless it's a GTD. That's the only S650 I'll take, but that's obvious. That's another thing. The GTD completely transformed how I feel about the whole S650 generation. The car is beautiful, straight up, and the whole platform is crazy. As soon as Ford unlocks the ECU on those things, they're gonna be insane. Pretty sure there's the supercharger kit, but I've yet to see anyone actually do this in person. My point is, everyone now likes the S650, but when it released, it was the ugliest Mustang generation, according to everybody. The same people who like the car now. But now I'm curious, from the SN95s to the S650s, how do you guys rank the generations? Mine is probably the S550, simply because of the Shelbys, then the S197, then maybe the S650, then the SN95. The only reason I have the S197 that high in the first place is the GT500. All the generations are great though, but I want to see what you guys think. What's your order? And while you're down there, hit that sub button for me, and also leave a like. But another car where the newer generation had to grow on people, including myself, is the Corvette C8, with its mid-engine layout. I remember it like it was yesterday. Corvette announced the first ever mid-engine layout car, and it just happened to look exactly like an Italian supercar. That's where most of, if not all, the hate came from. That the Corvette isn't exactly a Corvette anymore. And people's definition of a Corvette is a front engine, long hood, big V8, rear-wheel drive powerhouse, George Washington, cheeseburger, all-American machine. And the C8 doesn't represent that, so therefore it isn't a Corvette. But apparently the founder of Corvette, Zora has always envisioned the Corvette to be mid-engined. So if anything, the C8 is the realest of Corvettes. And that's coming from a front-engine Corvette owner. Nah, let me stop before all the middle-aged men dislike this video. I'm kidding. I love all Corvettes. And the C8 has grown on a lot of people, but many people still think it's a fake Corvette. Hey, the Z06 and the ZR1, Lord, the ZR1, they're crazy cars. Makes me even more of a C8 fan, and it's crazy to see how capable the C8 platform is. From the base model Stingray producing about what, 480, 490 horsepower, all the way to the ZR1 producing 1064. What, 233 miles per hour, 1064 horsepower, and warranty? That's hypercar territory, and we still have the knuckleheads who claim the ZR1 isn't even a supercar. Me personally, I think the Z06 is a supercar, and I want to know what you think. Is the Corvette C8 a supercar? Let me know. But speaking of supercars, the next car I'm happy everyone started to accept is the Lamborghini Revuelto. The, in my opinion, better Aventador. Damn, I could just feel all the unsubscriptions from that statement. But just let me cook. Listen, from the POV of someone who doesn't let nostalgia blind them, there's literally not one thing that the Aventador does better than the Revuelto. And let's remember, this is the base model. Imagine a Revuelto SV, SVJ, or just stuff like that. The Revuelto has a better powertrain, more power, better transmission, sounds just as good, looks are subjective, but the Revuelto is gorgeous. Again, I'm taking the Revuelto over a base model Aventador any day of the week, and I'm sure most of you watching this will do the same thing. But it feels like it was just yesterday where the Revuelto was announced, and everyone got their pitchforks and torches out at Lamborghini for bringing an end to such an icon. And within a couple weeks, when the Revuelto actually started hitting the streets, everyone just came to an agreement that there is no better car to replace such an iconic car as the Aventador than the Revuelto. The car is just nice. It's kind of ironic, because when the Revuelto first got announced, I made a video saying this: the last and the saddest goodbye, in my opinion, is the Lamborghini Aventador. Even though the Revuelto is commonly referred to as the Aventador's successor, there's nothing that would ever be the same as the naturally aspirated V12 Lamborghini gave us with the Aventador. Well, I was wrong. It didn't take long at all for the Revuelto to grow on every single one of us. The only problem I've seen so far with this car is that it feels underpowered compared to what Lamborghini claims. They claim about 1,000 horsepower, but every race I've seen this car versus other 1,000 horsepower cars hasn't even been close. I saw a race against it and a Plaid, and the Plaid literally walks it like a dog. But yes, it's a Plaid. The Plaid's 1,000 horsepower is different than any other car's 1,000 horsepower. But I also saw a race against it and the SF90, and the SF90 is still significantly faster. I don't know, but it seems like Lamborghini did kind of overshoot the power numbers. But hey, what do I know? My car only has 650. Anyways, the Revuelto isn't the only car which I prefer over the predecessor. Yes, that does bring me to my next car that grew on all of this. The Toyota Supra Mark V. Yes, I know, most of you probably don't remember why and when this car was hated, but I'm sure some of you do, and oh boy was that a time. The Supra Mark IV, one of the most loved and iconic cars in all of car culture, is being replaced by this. A BMW with the Toyota badge. Yes, saying that now doesn't sound nearly as bad, but when the car was first announced as that, everybody freaked out. A car as iconic as the Supra Mark IV, which was popular for its engine, now has its successor not even using an original engine. But like every other car on this list, we all sat down and imagined, does it really matter? The car is still one of the best sports cars on the market, and that's facts. It still gets teased for being a BMW, but I don't think people hate this car nearly as much as they did when it first got announced. And that's great. The Supra is a decent car, honestly. I'll take so much more cars for its price point, but I don't hate the car. They look great and they have insane potential, so I can't knock anyone for owning it or liking it. But yeah, the Supra Mark V probably grew on you too. But a car that I still don't understand why it initially got any hate at all is the Bugatti Tourbillon. Yes, you watching this right now were probably one of the NPCs who disliked this car at its initial reveal. Oh my god, it's so ugly. It looks like a war Chiron. Bugatti is so lazy. Completely ignoring the fact that this car has one of the craziest production engines ever seen in a car. And it looks gorgeous in my opinion, so I don't know where all the hate on the looks was coming from either. I made this connection the day it released, and I still stand on that. The car is literally just a mashup of all Bugatti's most gorgeous cars, so I can't see how that many positives can make a negative. Here, it's this. If you hated the tourbillon when it first came out, you just want it to be different. Or the same. Yeah, the same is better, because now the general consensus in the car scene is hate the new car, because old is always better. But the V16 Bugatti literally has no negatives, so now everyone is starting to realize that and give it the props it always deserve. And to be honest, it was mostly the Koenigsegg kids that tried to make this car look bad, but I guess they couldn't prove that it was bad, so they gave up on hating on it. I don't know. But what I do know is that the McLaren W1 had the quickest switch up of all time. Yes, and the last and final car on this list is the McLaren W1, and the speed in which people switched up on it still boggles my mind till this day. When it first got announced, especially as the successor of a car as iconic as the P1, people wanted nothing to do with it, and now the F80 got announced, people are starting to like the W1 again. Now I'm wondering, when the 918 Spider successor gets announced, are people gonna continue this trend? Like, are people gonna start liking the F80 and then switch all the hate to the new successor of the 918? Who knows? The car community is very interesting and unpredictable most of the time. I made a whole video covering that whole topic already, so I'm not trying to be redundant. So just click your screen right now to check that out. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'm out.